what if the pressure that you feel to hold everything together is actually the very thing that is pushing back what you truly deeply desire? Authentic connection. The ability to show up as yourself. This is the thematic I'd love to offer us today. Hello. My name is Sophia Wood Massicotte, and I'm your host here on the Unshakable Soul Podcast. So today, the way I've structured the flow of our conversation is, first, I'd love to introduce who is the overfunctioning woman. What does she actually believe? So we're getting to the core belief here. And we'll actually look at, why does she feel she cannot slow down? Why does she feel she always needs to be giving, fixing, solving, holding everything together? And I'm going to be offering at the end practices and tools to really help us start to reconnect with our bodies, to slow down our pace, to feel, where is it that I feel unsafe, in which situations, to start noticing and becoming aware of those people and places that trigger you or that cause you to want to perhaps get in that overfunctioning pattern. And I'm going to support it with some astrology, as I love to do, with Venus currently in Taurus. So I'll talk about that transit and offer you some practices to work with the energetics that were offered right now. And I'll end with, if we have time, a few journaling prompts to feel into, to integrate the insights and to really come into a deeper self-awareness of your own patterns and how this is showing up for you in your life. And at the end, I'll invite us into 2 offerings I have going on right now, if you feel called to deepen into this work. All right. So let's begin. Let's name what's happening right now, the overfunctioning pattern and the overfunctioning woman. What she may be feeling, what she may be thinking, often unconsciously. So this woman is seen as the strong one. She's the one that anticipates things because of Taurus. She's highly intuitive. She fixes things. She holds things. She carries things. And I'm not only speaking physically, I'm speaking also emotionally. She's highly sensitive. But she doesn't let herself fall apart. No. So she has this facade of this woman. Wow, she has everything going on. Great multitasker. She's the mother. She's the caregiver. She's the career woman. There's a deep belief, though, that tends to underline this overfunctioning pattern. My worth and safety comes from holding everything together. And this is a tough one to swallow when we start realizing that this has been running our life. And I want to share that this is not a personal failure. I too have had to come face to face with this belief. Okay? This is a conditioned survival strategy that we have been taught to take on because we didn't feel safe. And today, perhaps, is the first time you're going to be maybe seeing this strategy or this mechanism, this coping mechanism, through a different lens, through a higher perspective. And let this day also become a moment where you can start unraveling the story that you've been telling yourself and start rewriting one that's more supportive and more nourishing. Okay? So this overfunctioning woman, more about the qualities of who she is and what she feels. She's always on. That's why it's very hard for her to slow down. It's actually safer for her to be productive in the very external sense, in her doingness, okay, in her masculine energy. She struggles to rest without guilt. She feels responsible for other people's emotions. Maybe she has a tendency to over-coddle. Okay, to do everything for everybody else. Whether her kids, her husband, her friends. She's always there if you need her. Okay, so a lot of these women equate productivity, how much I do, with her value, how much I'm worth. This is a big one. Okay. The problem here is that she usually comes to this space where she doesn't even know what she wants anymore. She doesn't know what is true anymore. She doesn't know what is hers anymore, what is yours anymore, because she has become enmeshed in everybody else's drama, in everybody else's emotions. Okay. And the deeper layer here I'd like to invite us, where we can really start seeing where this pattern comes from. Again, this helps to start releasing ourselves slowly when we have this higher perspective. Because again, this is not about starting to shame yourself. Remember, this is not a fault of your own. This is so deeply ingrained and has been going on for generations. And now is your opportunity, if you choose so, to cut the pattern. This pattern often comes from early responsibility. Maybe she has been the caregiver from an early stage. Okay. There was emotional turmoil in her primary caregivers, so she quickly taught herself to suppress her own needs and to take care to make sure that everything is okay with her parents, because it was unpredictable. Okay. So this is usually the beginning of the suppression of your true self, your authentic self, when all your energy is being placed on others. Because again, when you're young, the most important thing is safety. You want to make sure you're going to be fed, essentially. Right? And that you're going to survive. Okay? Maybe this woman, when she was younger, she was praised for being the mature one, the helpful one, the easy one. She's easy, she's palatable, she's fine, she's simple, she's silent. But this girl was just keeping it together because she didn't know when an explosion was going to happen. She didn't know if her mom was going to come back from work in one of her moods or if she was going to be okay. Right? A lot of us have experienced this. And again, this is not to blame our parents. They did the best they could with the level of consciousness they had. But right now, this is really about reclaiming your power and taking responsibility. And of course, honoring that part of yourself that did not feel safe showing up as herself and realizing that that's not you anymore. You are safe right now. And you're able to establish that safety right now. And let that little girl know that she's safe with you in here. So what this pattern has taught you is deeply ingrained, again, in your nervous system and in your body. It's felt in your body. Your nervous system is that sensitivity that we feel, and it's highly intelligent when it's actually used as an intuition. But when it's coming from a place of fear, it can be very detrimental to our relationships and cause a lot of reactivity that we later feel guilty about. So again, the underlying core belief that we generally don't tell ourselves out loud is, if I hold this all together, I'm safe, I'm loved, I belong, I'm holding this seeming connection. But that connection is not coming from truth, from authenticity, from wholeness. It's coming from fear. Okay? So the extra layer I want to invite in right now is why slowing down feels unsafe to us. Okay? And here I want to invite this key notion that slowing down isn't just a physical act. Yes, of course, you can see slowing down as slowing down my pace in everything I do. But I'm more interested in sharing, well, what does that actually mean when I'm slowing down? This is deeply tied to emotional exposure and everything that comes up with the act of physically slowing down. That's why it's not enough to just tell somebody, slow down, take a chill pill. That's the worst thing you can say. Because we have to understand what that actually means. When, and I'm specifically speaking to women, when a woman slows down, she's inevitably going to be faced with feelings she's been holding back. They start to rise because they're actually given space to rise. Fatigue hits when you slow down because you're no longer in your fight-flight mode. And a lot of the times is what happens. Your body's like, oh, finally. Sometimes you get ill or deep fatigue. Maybe anger arises because there's so many unmet needs that are surfacing. So that can breed resentment and anger. And underlying that, usually we find this deep grief and longing that also surfaces. This softer part of us that is our truest desire for a lot of us, to connect authentically. Okay? And let's remember that when we slow down, and again, our nervous system's not used to this, it's interpreting the slowing down as a loss of control, as an alarm bell. This is not safe. Because I used to, if I slowed down when I was younger, I would be told that I was lazy. I would be scolded. It would not be rewarded at all. There was potential rejection, abandonment. This is why nervous system work is so important and being so gentle with ourselves throughout this whole process. Because this is not a one-day thing. It's not even a one-week thing. It's a progression, cultivation of inner safety through devotion every day to your practice of creating that safety for yourself and feeling perhaps what's been suppressed and allowing yourself to be held by nature, by you, by your loved ones, allowing yourself for that support, to feel held, to slowly loosen the grip on the perceived control you need to have in your life. Okay. So of course you don't want to slow down because you're afraid to lose control. Your body thinks that everything will fall apart if you do. And the catch is that if you don't try to release just a little bit, then you'll never know another way of being, another way of living, another way of relating. One that perhaps is more authentic, more real, more true. Okay, more fulfilling. And again, this is a process. So have to meet ourselves where we're at. All right. Now I want to offer the beautiful transit that's happening right now up in the cosmos. And that's, of course, everything that's happening on the micro is also being reflected in the micro. And this is the beauty of why I love to work with astrology and also the cycles in nature, is because inevitably it's impacting us. And instead of working against this energy and resisting the natural flow, we can actually work with it and allow it to deepen into our own inner connection with our truth, with our true authentic self. So right now, Venus is in Taurus. She went in March 30th. Today is April 11th, April 3rd. And she'll be in Taurus until April 24th. Venus in Taurus, why is this important? Because she's in her home sign. Venus has 2 home signs. It's a Libra and Taurus. Venus in Taurus is like this exhale, especially after being in Aries, which could have caused her to feel a little bit more on edge, right? With fire energy. Venus is all about beauty, love, abundance, sensuality. She's just in the flow of life. She's in her pleasure when she's slowing down. She's in nature. And this is Venus in Taurus, right? So there's this shift that perhaps you felt over the past week or so, from this urgency, this kind of fire, like go, to this presence, like, I just love listening to the birds and breathing and just cuddling for a bit longer. Another shift could be from this need to prove yourself with your productivity, your doing energy, which was Aries, to receiving. To, again, this is leaning back. It's opening up. It's like, I get to receive support, love, whatever, this beautiful food, this breeze, whatever it is, I get to receive. So thematics here that are at play with Venus and Taurus is this slowness as a medicine, not as laziness. Slowness right now is the medicine. Allowing yourself to really enjoy the simple pleasures. That's the beauty of Taurus. Taurus is all about enjoying the simple pleasures of life. The sip of your coffee or tea in the morning, the song of the birds, your own body when you have beautiful clothes that make you feel so good and juicy. Maybe it's a bath you're taking. Maybe you're making love to your partner. Maybe you're making love to a piece of cake. There's a bit of indulgence here with this energy. And this is so beautiful for women that are looking to reconnect with their body, reconnect with their feminine essence. Right? Reconnecting with body, pleasure, nature, sensation. This transit is also offering us a really important piece to look at for us women. love, value, worthiness, and a reclamation of all of that. What does it actually mean? What does love mean to me? Again, very Venusian. What does it look like? What does it feel like? In my body, in my life? It also invites in reciprocity. Again, with the thematic of overfunctioning, where have I been maybe overgiving? And what would feel the most nurturing for me right now? What would happen if I allowed myself to receive? What would shift in the dynamics of my relationship? Okay. And there's a deep layer here of worthiness and value. Again, because a lot of the overfunctioning pattern is this tied, my worthiness is tied to how much I do, how much I give. This is a big, big pattern and belief that women are going through that are cutting slowly but surely. Right? We're not earning our love and worth through our efforting and trying to prove ourselves through our doing. What's actually on offer right now is through me being in my pleasure, in my body, so connected and alive and authentic, just as I am right now, and leaning back and allowing myself to receive. I give from this place. I give from fulfilling my own needs. Right? There's also a thematic here at play, which is very stability and security oriented. Venus in Taurus is looking also for this material abundance, security, stability. So finance could be at play as well. It's redefining what that financial abundance looks like for you, and also looking at how you've been spending money. And Taurus, or any earth sign, is very stable and it's long-term usually. It's focused on steady growth. So maybe you've been spending frivolously. So it's an opportunity now to redefine, again, money is energy. Your body houses energy. That's why it's really an opportunity for us to reclaim that energy and to really look at how am I using my energy? How am I treating my money, my body, my currency? Do I value myself? Do I feel worthy of spending time with myself in nature, reconnecting? Do I feel worthy of spending for myself? Of course, there's that indulgence. But we have to be mindful of the shadow aspect. And I'll get in that in a moment. But here the invitation I want to offer us is, what if stability, what Venus and Taurus wants is this stability, this security, isn't created when I'm holding everything together. And again, through this efforting or trying to control. But actually, it's by rooting deeper into myself and creating that inner safety for myself and offering myself those moments where, yes, I know that I can let that go and life won't fall apart. I can take time for myself and life won't fall apart. I can speak my truth and life won't fall apart. I can have that piece of cake and I won't get fat. I'm offering these as examples and feel for you. Maybe one resonates for you. I know all of them resonate for me because I've been through them all. Okay. So shadow expressions to watch out for, though, during this period of time. Again, March 30th to April 24th, we have this transit. Slowing down does not mean checking out. So we just want to be mindful of any spiritual bypassing here. We watch out for overindulgence. For example, numbing through food, scrolling, over-scrolling, comfort, right? Eating for comfort. Or maybe you're scrolling for comfort, for some sort of comfort. You're Netflixing for comfort. We see this pattern as like this numbingness, okay? So just watch out for that, right? Avoidance in disguise as rest. Again, this is, our ego can easily slip in and be like, oh yeah, sure, slow down, because you don't need to actually face that thing, right? Of course, we want to allow ourselves to rest and slow down and recuperate, and especially after a period of time when we had like Mercury in retrograde, we had Pisces season that was very turbulent emotionally, we had eclipse season in February, March. So there's been a lot of shifts for us. So this is a beautiful collective exhale, as mentioned, where you get to kind of lean back and enjoy. And here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's springtime, so things are thawing, days are getting warmer. So inevitably, we're going to want to go out and enjoy. But we also have to realize that there can be a shadow expression to watch. And when life begins to emerge, yes, we can revel in the beautiful beauty that's offered around us, but there can also be that aspect of us that doesn't want to emerge, that doesn't want us to express ourselves, to show ourselves authentically, right? And that's the Taurian and the Taurus tendency of kind of being stubborn, and the earth element is like stuck, like doesn't want to change, like heels in. So that can show up as kind of holding on to what feels familiar, but that you know is no longer aligned. And again, that could be people, places, habits. Okay? So here's the medicine on offer. Taurus medicine is intentional, embodied slowness. It's nourishing yourself through slowing down your pace. It's a softening, it's an opening, it's a being able to enjoy life's simplicities and beauty. It's not a collapse, it's a conscious softening. Okay? So, this whole thematic of overfunctioning, a feeling as though I need to hold everything together, is beautifully tied into what we're going through right now with Venus and Taurus. And feel for you how it's been showing up in your life. Where have you been trying to hold everything together? Where do you feel as though you cannot slow down? Is this reoccurring with certain people, certain places? Your business, your family, your work, with yourself? When you are, offered time off, let's say, or rest time, is that hard to actually rest? To receive, is it hard for you to receive? Like, these are all beautiful questions to ask ourselves, just to get really self-aware. That's the number one step in any transformation and change that we're undergoing inevitably, to create a different reality for ourselves, one that's more nourishing and fulfilling. We have to be willing to look at that. Look at what's really not being supportive and misaligned, and what's actually going to be more supportive for you moving forward. So here's just a few practices that you can take or leave to integrate into your everyday life. Somatic practices. 2-minute body check-in. You can offer yourself some touch. First thing in the morning, or any time during the day, to be honest. Especially when you feel that need or feeling that you have to hold everything together, or you want to go into that overfunctioning pattern. That pause, the power pause, is the most powerful practice you can have. In that moment, just check in with your body. What do you feel in this moment? Offer yourself 3 conscious breaths. Ground your body, earth element, and ask yourself what you need right now. You can verbalize that. It's helping that energy come out. And if you want to add, you can add, this is not me. This is not me. Right? Starting to disassociate this coping mechanism, this survival strategy, this pattern that we have of overfunctioning. This is not who you are. So starting to create that space and offering a different response to come in. Okay. So that's number 1. That practice you can do whenever you want. Okay. Number 2 is slowing one daily ritual that you have. Okay, so maybe that's drinking your coffee or your tea. Maybe that's when you're showering, when you're talking, when you're eating, when you're walking. There's so many ways you can slow down. Choose one. And really feel into, again, it's mindful practice of being so present with that action. Connecting to your senses. It's very Venusian. Very sensual. And number 3 is just breathing and feeling into your own body. Breathing into safety, into groundedness, into presence. Okay, this womb-heart connection here. So hand on your womb, hand on your heart. And this is also tied to our first practice. If you're feeling yourself in this state of urgency, you need to rush. You could slow down your breathing, focusing on your exhales, and maybe it helps to be seated down, or maybe you feel you need to be completely on the ground, your back to the ground. You could offer yourself an affirmation too. I am safe in my body. I am safe to slow down. I am safe to receive support. I am held here. Again, whatever intuitively comes through. Okay. And in terms of simple lifestyle shifts, you can perhaps do one less thing per day. Just start cutting back. Maybe you have an agenda that's packed. Maybe look at where you can delegate and offer yourself more spaciousness. Okay. And in that space, you get to choose what you want to do with it. Maybe you want to get a massage. Maybe you want to cook. Maybe you want to go for a nature walk. Maybe you want to take a bath. A second shift is, this is a big one, let something be good enough. Oftentimes with the overfunctioning pattern, there's this perfectionist that comes through. It has to be perfect. Right? Can it be good enough for you? Can you set yourself your own boundaries? And whatever you're doing, notice where that kind of overfunctioning perfectionist pattern comes through. In your work, in your life, in your family, with yourself. Where you're really hard on yourself. And number 3 is the act of receiving support, care, love. Where is one place in your life where you can receive support? And can you ask for it? Okay. And I want to invite here, yes, it's important. I'm all about you being your own best ally and you are able to give yourself what you need. But it doesn't mean that you isolate yourself from your family, from everybody else, and push them away. No. In you replenishing your cup, this is actually forging more authentic and intimate connections. But it doesn't mean that you cannot ask for help and support. So feel for you. Who would you like to ask for support? What support do you need right now? And are you actually opening to receive it? Noticing the pattern that you may have, the over-independent pattern, which is part of the over-functioning pattern. You become so used to doing everything yourself. Notice where it become maybe automatic when somebody is offering help that you say, no, I got it. Right? This is, very automatic. So again, just offering yourself that moment to pause and reflect. Oh, maybe I can receive this support coming through. Or I can ask. It's safe for me to ask for this support. And be okay if the answer is no. Right? This has nothing to do with you. Okay. So I'll offer the journaling prompts in the description of this episode. Just looking at time, I want to keep this sort of short. And I want to close with these kind of key elements here to kind of summarize our chat today. You don't need to earn your rest. You do not need to earn your rest. Let this be a mantra for you. Remember, when you are in your state of ease and overflow because you're nourishing yourself, you are ultimately giving from that place. And not in a way that feels like effort. This is the magic sauce for us women to really start tuning into and practicing each day. You don't have to hold everything together to feel you're needed, to feel worthy because you're needed. Right? Life won't fall apart if you choose to loosen the grip. And sometimes when we let go, wonderful things come through. And yes, sometimes when you let go, maybe things will, for example, you don't do everything for your kid anymore. Maybe your kid will start tripping and falling after that, but they're going to learn through that. And that's going to help them build resilience and strength. And really start believing in themselves. And develop their own resourcefulness. But if you do everything for them, you're actually taking that learning experience from them. Right? So in thinking that you're giving, you're actually taking from them. It's an interesting one. Okay. So this is just the offer right now. It's maybe, if I'm slowing down, if I choose to slow down, maybe not everything will fall apart. Have that as a contemplation for you. Maybe nothing falls apart when I slow down and choose to nourish myself and enjoy time in nature, enjoy that retreat that I've always wanted to go on, enjoy that trip, enjoy that massage, enjoy that piece of cake. Maybe something truer is finally has space to come alive through me leaning back, exhaling deeper, slowing down, and receiving from life. Love, care, support. So that concludes our conversation today. Thank you for being here. And as always, for those that are looking to go deeper in this thematic, I have a free upcoming somatic workshop called Embodied. It's April 11th. And it's geared to women that are ready to slow down, to soften into a more nourishing way of being and of living. So we're going to learn to soften that overfunctioning pattern and really come back to a place of inner safety, stability, a place from which everything else flourishes in our life and our connections, and anything we want to create. If you want the deeper journey, then I'll invite you into Rhythms of Remembrance, the spring portal, which is specifically the alchemy of desire, starting April 18th. So it's going to be an 8-week group initiation into the alchemy of desire, into you actually claiming your authentic desire. And we'll learn what is an inauthentic desire and what's been conditioned into us into believing what we should want in this lifetime, and what actually is my true desire. And we're going to go through perhaps all the beliefs that has been keeping us on a certain path, believing that I should be this type of woman and do this type of thing and show up this type of way, and slowly coming into a place that is truer, that is more aligned, that actually is nurturing your authentic self and creating in tandem more nurturing relationships and creations that are more meaningful in your life. So this is deeper work all around receptivity, inner worth, and ultimately the embodiment of your fullest, truest self. So all the links will be in the description. And if you have any questions, I always offer a clarity call. All right, loves. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next episode.